So we're going to look at a few special types of equations. We already have all of the skills in place to solve these equations. They just look a little different, or they're just a little extra step. So we're going to talk about them, and you guys are going to mostly, hopefully, figure out what to do with them. Write down this first equation or question. What is the coefficient on the variable term? This is an important idea to help you to understand equations when they're written in a little different format. All right, so write down this equation. It's a simple one, I know. M over 3 equals 4, which means M divided by 3 equals 4. I know probably most of you know what the solution to that is right away. What is the solution to M divided by 3 equals 4? Mikey?
M is equal to 12.
M is equal to 12, right? You can kind of see that by inspection. But that's not the point of this problem. The point of this problem is to figure out what's the coefficient on M for when the problems get more complicated. Well, let me ask you a question before you volunteer, though. This is dividing by 3, right? Mm-hmm. The coefficient is defined as the number being multiplied by the variable, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So the question is, dividing by 3, there's not a number being multiplied by a variable there. But can you think what you learned that dividing by 3 is the same as? Dividing by 3 is the same as multiplying by what?
1/3.
Really? Right. I was going to call on Logan.
Oh.
He was so inspired to shout out correct. Dividing by 3 is the same as multiplying by 1/3. Write that down. Very lower school teachers, I think, actually drilled that into your head, which is great.
Oh,
because whether I say, Mary, what's 21 divided by 3? Or I say, Jack, what's 1/3 of 21? They're the same, right? So when you realize that, this M divided by 3 equation that looks a little strange to us sometimes is actually exactly the same as 1/3 times M equals 4. Now it's much easier to see what the coefficient is. What's the coefficient in this equation? Well, the coefficient, not the solution. 1/3. 1/3 is the coefficient. And that helps us in more complicated situations. Also helps some kids see better that this must be 12, because they know 1/3 of M is 4, then 3/3 would be 12. But the point of these first 2 questions isn't really to solve them, it's to talk about the coefficients. All right? Questions?
No.
Let's move on to the next one. On your right, 2a over 5 minus 6 equals 6. My first question for you is, what is the constant on the left side of the equation? What's the constant, Daryl?
6.
6, and even a little bit better than 6, Daryl?
-6.
Yeah, -6. All right, so that's easy. We got the -6 as the constant. What about the coefficient? In this case, what is being multiplied by the variable? Mary? Now, it's easy to say 2, but think about what the equation would look like if it was 2. Then we would just have 2 times a plus -6 equals 6. So it must be a little bit more than just 2. We had 2, but what else do we have? Over 5. So what do you think might be another way we could write this? Mary? Not 2 1/5, just 2/5. Yeah. This is the same as 2/5 of A plus the -6 equals 6. Multiplying by 2 and then dividing by 5 is the same as taking 2/5 of something. So that helps us to see here that this is the coefficient on this equation. Once we have that and get a little bit comfortable at looking at these equations that are formatted a little differently, and we can recognize the coefficients, they become easy for students to solve usually. In example 1 here, we're going to solve these now. First question is, what's the coefficient of G? What's the coefficient of G, do you think, Luke?
1/4.
1/4. So this equation can be written as 1/4 of g minus 16 equals negative 11. All right. Cool. Use the skills you have. What should we do to solve this? Logan?
Would it be plus negative 16?
It can be changed and rewritten as plus and negative 16, yeah? And then what would be the next step in solving it? Huh?
Get rid of the negative 16.
Yep, field the constant first. How do you get rid of it?
You do 1/4 g plus negative 16 plus 16 equals negative 11.
All right, very good. Simplify the left side for me, Liam. What's on the left?
You have to get rid of, you have to multiply.
Wait, just what is this side simplified to now?
1/4 g.
Thank you. And what is the right side simplified to, Robbie? 5. So now we know 1/4 of g is 5. What do we do for a solution here, Caitlin?
Add the reciprocal to the fraction.
Add or multiply?
Yeah,
Multiply. You can multiply. And what do you get, Caitlin? 20. Now, oftentimes back at that stage when it's 1/4 g equals 5, kids want to do another approach too. Some of you might want to use the unitary approach. Well, 1/4 of g is 5, that 4/4 is 20, right? That's that situation where you can use either approach. All right. Why don't you and your partner, oh, not yet, sorry, getting ahead of myself. Example 2, write it down. 3m over 5 plus 17 equals negative 4. What's the coefficient in this problem? What's the coefficient here? What do you think, Vaishu?
the coefficient is 3/5.
Very good, 3/5 of m. So this can be written as 3/5 m plus 17 equals negative 4. Now, I want you and your partner to work together to finish solving. All right, so we're going to finish this quick and double check if you got the answer right. What did you do next, Liam?
I added negative 17 to both sides.
Very good. And when you did, what did that simplify to?
Simplified to 3/5 of m is equal to negative 21.
Good. Now, from this point, students solve this in one of two ways. What's one way out there that you solve this? Robbie?
After we did that, we multiplied the reciprocal.
Okay, so you can multiply by the reciprocal. What's the reciprocal, Robbie?
5/2.
Negative 21 is negative 21 wholes, negative 21 over 1. This simplifies, and did you get negative 35, Robbie?
Yes.
Good. What's a different way that people solved it? What's another way, Luke?
You can divide 3/5 of m by 3
And find that 1/5 of m,
equals negative 7.
so therefore,
You would multiply 1/5 of m by 5,
good, and you would get,
negative 3.
yep. So this is the multiplying by the reciprocal way, and this is the unitary method. Either one works in this case because the numbers are friendly, but the numbers aren't always friendly, so be ready to use reciprocal if you have to. All right, let's move on to some cool other equations we can see if we can figure out. Yay! All right, so you don't need to copy down the question. That's just, we're going to find out what do you think about these equations. First, example 3 is y squared equals 16. I want you and your partner to talk for 2 seconds and see if you guys think you know what a solution to it is.
4.
Okay, so I hear a ripple around the room, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. How did you come up with 4, Jack?
Because the square root of y. Like the square root of y. The square root of y squared is the answer. And the square root of 16 is 4.
Amen.
Very good. So I like Jack used, he didn't even just kind of like guess and check. He knew that he was looking for the square root of 16. So, and the square root of 16 is 4. But there's another solution to this equation, guys, in addition to 4. Four squared would be then the if I put that in here, that would be 4 squared squares.
Oh.
Yeah. Let me just try to think of a guess and check now that you're looking at the equation. What's another value for y that would make a true statement? Robbie?
What times itself equals 16?
Yeah, what other number times itself will give you 16 besides 4?
4.0.
No, that's still just 4. Michael?
You could do the square root, 16,
216.
216.
256, I think. But no, square root of 256 would be 16, and 16 squared would be 256. We need to know what times itself will give us 16. There's another number besides 4. There's another number. Will?
2 squared.
No, that's just 4. Mikey?
4?
No.
5?
You're having a hard time because you're all such positive people.
Oh!
Anna?
4?
-4, right? -4 raised to the second power is 16. -4 times -4. So the solution here is positive or negative square root of 16. Positive or -4. Both of them work. So kids naturally say, do we need to say both, Mrs. Dole? Yes, because they're both solutions. You get that? All right. So let's look at another example. Very under here.
Let's reverse the clock down.
All right, I want you and your partner, you've got great equation solving skills, to think about what you might do with this one to solve for h. Take a moment. Okay, so a lot of you are kind of using an inspection method. You're kind of guessing, what do I got to multiply, what's squared times 10 gives me 90. But what steps would we use equation solving wise if we've got a 10h squared, if we've got a coefficient? What would be the first thing we do to solve this, Jack?
You can divide 10h squared and 90 both by 10.
Yeah, you eliminate that coefficient, and you find out that h squared is equal to what, Jeff?
9.
9. H squared must be 9.
Oh, h squared.
All right, that's h squared. And so then what do we do to find h, Liam?
You find the square root of 9.
Yeah, and we know it's going to be plus or minus, positive or negative square root of 9. And what's the square root of 9, Erna? So it's positive or negative 3 is our answer. So you see how those steps that we've built so well to solve for the unknown by isolating it, they work here just as well. All right, so let's have you look at this one.
Oh, why did it so small?
The first math one loved this, and they were like, oh, you know what we do?
This makes it squared.
4w squared plus 2w squared equals 150. I'm going to give you and your partner a minute to see what you come up with. Okay. All right, so you guys brought a smile to my face. I heard a lot of you attacking this with a no problem attitude. What did you decide to do first with this? What did you decide to do first? Caitlin?
I added 4w squared plus 2w squared to like terms, and I got 6w squared.
Yeah, they're like terms, and if we can simplify an equation by combining like terms, we can do it. Very good. That makes me very happy. All right, then we've got 6w squared equals 150. That's 6w squares. What should I do, Robbie?
You divide it by 6, and you get w squared is positive or negative 25.
Well, w squared is 25.
Oh, whoops.
Now we got to worry about the positive and negative when we take the square root of it. So if w squared is 25, w is equal to plus or minus the square root of 25. So w is equal to positive or negative 5. Very nice. Any questions? No, you good? All right, one last challenge. I'm going to give you guys this last equation. Oh, I never. Last equation, example 6. I want you and your partners to work through it. When you have the answer, call me over and you can start your homework.
Okay.